Okay, so now we are at the quilt, and what we're going to do is to duplicate what I've just drawn out on paper. I have my crosshairs drawn. This is the center of the quilt, which lines up, of course, with the points in the quilt itself. I've got my ruler ready to go. I'm going to use this size for the regular circles that go partway across, and then I'm going to switch, of course, to a smaller circle, and then I will also use an inside circle to go in and do at least this middle one as a record album, the little hole that it sets in to kind of mirror what's going on with the records themselves. Okay, so we have everything in place. I have locked my stitches. I do have a little bit of adhesive on the back of my ruler. I'm going to go around twice, so we're going to start. I'm at 12 stitches per inch still, so I'm going to come around, switch my hand position, go around again, switch my hand position. I'm going to end at where I started, and I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to trim that tail a little bit. I'll get rid of the rest of it in a moment. Now I'm going to move my ruler, position it, and again I'm going to keep that center right across the center line that I've chalked there, just to keep it balanced right across the middle of the border. So now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to go once, reposition, and with that adhesive on the back of the ruler, it's going to nest right up to the other circle. Now, if I were on a light fabric, I would want to go ahead and I would want to go around once, two and a half. But because we're actually matching thread here, I'm good with going ahead and doing my once and a half. So that will work with this. What I am going to do is I'm going to alternate. I went clockwise for this one. That means the next one, as I go, I'm going to go counterclockwise. And I find that for me, that keeps it a little bit more balanced. So there's one. I've made a complete circle. Now I have to get back to start. So now I'm going to slide right up to the middle. So now I am right there, right in the middle. I'm going to do one more, and then we're going to switch to the smaller circle to do a few of the smaller circles. Line that up. Get that going. And so now I'm going to go clockwise. One. Reposition. And a half. Okay, so now on these two, these are the two that we're gonna, or the three that we're gonna overlap with. We're not gonna overlap with the center one. That's gonna remain a record album. So what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna switch to my smaller circle. I'm gonna line that up and I'm gonna use my smaller circle here just to add a little bit of interest to the design itself texturally. And we're gonna go one, and a half, one more, stop, line it up. Now I'm going to go the opposite way, one, and a half, okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and I am going to leave the rest of this for some interest in a different way, which is, I believe, I haven't decided whether it's going to be 45-degree crosshatch or piano keys. I'll know once I finish the circles and look at the texture of that. So now what we have so far, starting from the center out, is In the center over here, what I have is our main circle. I am going to put another small circle in here, and then what I'm going to do is right now grab my chalk, line that up, give myself a center, and I want to make sure, of course, that my center's here lined up. Line that up, center it, give myself a center here, and give myself a center here. And then, of course, just like in the when we drew this out, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use a straight ruler and chalk lines here so that way I can go ahead and put a few overlapping circles in there. Okay, so now I've made my registration line. So what I'm going to be doing, just for my own guide, is I'm going to be lining this up. I'm going to be dividing my circle. And then I'm also going to go into the cleavage between the circles and repeat the same thing so that I have a line between there, line there, line there, and line there. And that's just because I have the thread is pretty matchy, so I want to be able to see my texture. Now again, I'm not going to be doing anything over here to the center circle other than putting a small circle in the midst of that. But I'm going to come back and do that. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to center this right there between the other circles, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to quilt those. It'll be 2 circles within those 3 circles to overlap, just like when we drew it out. Okay, so now we're going to overlap these 3 circles with 2 circles. I'm going to lock my stitches here, and I'm going to go up just a ways, trim my thread, come around, and because I'm doing 2 circles here, what I can actually do, shift, come back up to where I met, and it met exactly because I have adhesive on the back of the ruler. So since I'm only doing 2 circles here, now I have to simply slide this one over, line it up, come around, just like that. And of course now I can lock my stitches. Take about 5 or 6 stitches within the space of about 3 stitches. And now, good to go. So that's that half. And then over on the smaller circles, what I'm going to do is I simply have to locate the center, and again I'm going to line this ruler up so that this line is straight on that seam right there. Let me get that with that extended base out of the way. Going to line that up, give myself a chalk mark between those two, and then I'm going to go right in here and I'm going to use my smaller one and I'm going to overlap those two. Center, lock my stitches, up, pause, snip, get rid of that tail, come down and around, and up, just like that. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to go ahead and lock my stitches, break thread, and then what I'll do is I'll cross over and I'll repeat the same thing over on the other side after I put the small hole in the middle of the center part of the border. Okay, so now I'm going to use my small circle, my puzzle piece. We're going to put that right in there. And of course, red tape goes right across. Come on, sometimes it's like cellophane. All right, there we go. And now that I've got that in place and this is locked in, what I'm going to do is line up my 4 crosshairs so that that's centered on that other circle. And I do have adhesive on the back of the ruler, so I'm not going to get any slippage. Okay, and pull up my thread. Go right up against the edge, take my single stitch, pull away, get my bobbin thread, go back. I'm going to lock those stitches, hold that stable. 1, 2, stop, lock my stitches, snip my tail, get rid of the ruler, and now I have a symbolic record album with the other ones overlapped just for some texture. So again, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go right to left. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to then put in some piano keys on both ends just to kind of finish it off and around the corner. Okay, so now we're going to head from the center left. I've locked my stitches. I'm going to go up, go ahead, trim my tail. Come around, pause, reposition, up and a half, stop, reposition my ruler, get it in place, line it up. And I'm also going to be double checking because my chalk line could be off. I'm checking this space based on this space. Reposition, and a half. So I need one more. Line it up. Just like that. Stop. Reposition. Up and a half. And now I'm going to grab my smaller ruler. Now for my 2 smaller. Lock my stitches, and now I will go ahead and make my marks and do my overlapping. Okay, so now I have my marks here. So what I'm going to do, just a little tip, if I'm only going to be doing 2 overlapping circles, the one thing I like to do is I want to start my machine right in the middle. That way when I come around once, I can be like a figure 8 and come around twice, and I don't have to trim and lock thread more than once. So I'm going to lock my stitches. I've got my ruler in place. Reposition. Stop. Now I'm going to come back down just a second so I can trim my tail. Stop. Reposition. Lock. Stop. Cut my thread and then move over to my smaller circles. Line up my smaller circle. Get that right in the middle. Pick up my thread. Maybe. Pick up my thread. Come on, bobbin. There we go. Lock. Come around. Lock my thread. Trim the first tail. Trim the second tail. Okay, so now I'm going to start in the corner. I have decided that what I'm going to do is I'll first create a cornerstone. Again, I'm going to line this up with the seam. And then I've decided that what I'm going to do is I am going to do inch-and-a-half piano keys. So I've got 1.5 inches, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pre-mark those in from the corner. So 1.5 inches, line that up, 1.5 inches, line that up. I am more concerned about the seam and staying right here with my ruler. 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, and I'm going to work my way in towards the circles that I have created. So there I'm about 1/2 inch away from the first set of circles. So I'm going to go one more in, and I'm going to line this up, and I'm going to go ahead and put that right through the end of those circles. And that's going to be the last one that I do. And then the center will end up just being the circles. So from the corner in. Now I'm also in this corner as we head back to this corner. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself my fan. So this is going to be a 5-inch. I'm going to go to 2.5 inches, 5-inch, 2.5 inches. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put my pivot point there, there, and then I'm going to quilt this, and I'm going to repeat the same exact thing over on the other side.